What is happening out there, internets? Welcome to Raw Reviews. Today, we're talking about Jackass Forever, along with Jackass 4.5, which came out available on Netflix recently. It has been over a decade since we got the last Jackass, Jackass 3 and Jackass 3.5. I think myself, along with most fans, and even a majority of the cast and crew of the Jackass films, thought that Jackass 3 was going to be the last one. Jackass 4 kind of came as a surprise, and it was a pleasant surprise. Let's get into it a little bit, just a little bit. First of all, there's a lot of dicks in this movie. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just letting I know that for some people it could be triggering to see so many dicks, but the movie probably opens up with the most expensive dick joke ever told, and it's actually a cinematic masterpiece in true Jackass fashion. Their intros are usually a big spectacle to behold, and Jackass 4 is no different. And it sets the tone for the whole film because a good 75% of the film is dicks. Now, to their defense, not that an abundance of dicks needs to be defended, but to their defense, the way in which they utilize the dicks, the many ways in which they utilize the dicks, are extremely creative, hilarious, groundbreaking, should I say. there's a I don't know if I want to call it a stunt. Sure, let's just call it a stunt. They put their dicks in between two sheets of plexiglass that have screws and nuts, touche, in them. So they're able to put their dicks in between the plexiglass, put the plexiglass together on both sides of their dicks, and tighten the screws around the plexiglass until their dicks, as far as my eye could tell, the plexiglass was touching. Their dicks were like flat as paper. And so in the film itself, you get I think it's called like Ding Dong Ping Pong, and they're actually using the plexiglass with the dick in it, with the ball and string attached to it, like a ping pong, like a ding dong ping pong. So these dick jokes and all of this dick exposure is not in any way just kind of phoned in for the sake of showing dicks. There's a good amount of thought goes into each dick encounter. And then in the 4.5 version, we get kind of an extension to the Ding Dong Ping Pong, where I want to say it was which one was it? It was definitely the new guy, Poopies. Poopies, and I believe it was Dave England. Either Dave England or Aaron. Either Dave or Aaron did this. Was on the other side. Maybe Danger. I can't remember. I can't remember who the other guy was. Poopies kind of steals the show. They got their dicks put into the same plexiglass, and they have a net in the middle of the plexiglass, and they're pretty much tethered by their dicks in this plexiglass, and they have to play ping pong against each other with their dicks serving as the it's crazy. So many dick jokes. There's You know what? Let's just get off the dick jokes. I don't know how we started there and we're still there, and now it's just kind of strange. And I know Royal is not going to accept that. Um, Beyond the dick jokes. Now I can only think about dicks. Shout out to Royal. Beyond the dick jokes. So with Jackass Forever, something cool that I think they did was they incorporated some new blood that was they kind of like spiced up what we were familiar with without fucking with it too much. So they like injected some new energy into the existing dynamic, and I was kind of on the fence when I started seeing all the new faces. 'Cause I'm like, man, these they don't know. They don't know what I mean. What were they, like 4 or 5 when Jackass was coming out? But they did a really good job at getting people uh, that were able to harmonize with the existing dynamic that we know and love about the Jackass guys. And what was really cool about the new blood that is added to the mix is it consists of I mean they really punched up the like checking off each demographic being accounted for. I didn't even realize it until this movie that previously it was primarily just a group of white dudes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in hindsight, now looking back and seeing like the cast and crew of Jackass Forever, it's a much more diverse crowd, and therefore just a much more it actually makes the dynamic a little bit more interesting, because well, there's there's like uh, two demographics that I would never expect to see performing gross out jackass stunts: black dudes and white women. They added a comedian named Rachel Wolfson. She reminds me a lot of Aubrey Plaza. She's kind of like, she looks like she's turned off emotionally, kind of psychotic, which I think you'd have to be to willingly do these things that Jackass calls of you to do. Um, she's really great though. And just having a female there amongst all the dick jokes kind of adds a different layer to the dick jokes, and I'm realizing now that we're back on the dick jokes again. So, um, and then the black dudes that they added, they were just it's just not what I grew up with. Seeing black dudes or white girls do these gross out things. This is in all of my experience growing up, playing with your dicks, playing with creepy crawlies, uh, inflicting pain willfully upon yourself. These are all white people things. Um, Jackass Forever came out the gates in 2022 and completely extinguished any of those stereotypes that I previously had. And like I said, it adding that to the mix made the dynamic a lot more interesting. And it was kind of sweet how they didn't try to add the new people like without okaying it with the fans first, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, not that they need the permission of the fans to expand their cast, but I think the better way to put it is that they addressed what was happening. Um, that they addressed what was happening transparently within the premise of the film, as to not look like they were trying to hide the fact that they are potentially trying to create like a legacy crew to follow up, because I mean, Johnny Knoxville, Chris Pontius, Steve-O, Wee Man, they're all getting pretty old. I mean, eventually their bones are going to start breaking without jumping off of anything. So they quite literally can't do this forever, or who the hell knows? I mean, it would be funny as shit to see an actual senior citizen, Johnny Knoxville, falling down and literally breaking his hip. That would be next level shit. that'd be some next level shit. I'd be there for it. But the point is that they are bringing in like this kind of like passing the torch, and they make that very apparent in the movie. They actually like they joke about it a few times, and that was really cool to see. One of the black dudes has his uh, gets his dad involved. It reminded me a lot of the old days when Bam Margera would get his parents wrapped into the shenanigans. Uh, Dark Shark, one of the black dude's dads. This guy's been shot multiple times. He's been to prison. He's been in multiple gangs. He lives in the areas that people like me are terrified to even drive safely through. Um, and that was one of the funniest things in the movie to me, is seeing somebody like this who is like the hardest of the hard. Looks like he could be the brother of DMX. And he's afraid of like birds. He's afraid of heights. He's afraid of creepy crawly spiders, and seeing this man become emotionally broken before my eyes was it was unique. It was a unique experience, because I've never seen that side of somebody like that before, and to watch it happen real time was very, very, very interesting. Shout out to Danger Aaron. I can't remember what his actual name is. He's the dude with the mohawk, but in pretty much every movie he gets the blunt of all of it. In this one is no exception, and even more so. I mean, they annihilate his nuts in a particular scene, and I just don't understand. I hope he's making more money than anybody else, because he definitely walks away with more injuries and more psychological scarring than anybody else. He is easily one of my favorite characters, but consistently. So the cast, the old cast, the classics, the Jackass classics. Chris Pontius is always my favorite party boy. He's just such a good time. He exudes joy. His smile, his laugh, his dancing, prancing, strip teases that always seem he just, to him there's no inappropriate place to strip your clothes down and start dancing around and laughing with a thong on, shaking your willy around. He's just so fun to watch. I'm trying to sound straight while saying this. 'Cause he's just that dude that you want to have around. He keeps it light. He makes it a good time. If I had to pick a second favorite, Johnny Knoxville is one of my favorite things about the Jackass movies, is watching how happy Johnny Knoxville becomes at even the thought of putting his best friends through, or himself for that matter, through intense pain. The maniacal laughter that explodes out of his mouth whenever something is going completely awry for somebody is again, it's just one of those things that's I don't think it could ever get old, watching how happy he becomes when bad things are happening to himself or people that he loves. The newcomers, Poopies easily shines. Rachel Wolfson, she was she was, it was just very interesting to see a chick be able to hang with the antics of a bunch of ridiculously juvenile men. Because you don't usually see that a lot. And I don't know if that's because of lack of representation of those kinds of chicks or just lack of those kinds of chicks. I don't know. Either way, it was fun to see Rachel Wolfson be subjected to all of this tomfoolery. And then they brought in like there were some guests. Like it was really cool to see Eric Andre get in on some of the stuff that was going on. He was I was a little bit let down by the results of Eric Andre being a part of it. I think my expectations were too high because I've seen the Eric Andre show. I've seen Jackass. I thought that putting the two of those together would just be like too insane to even comprehend. But it was fairly tame, the parts that Eric Andre were a part of. It was still cool to see him integrated into the mix though. Beyond that, just my overall review is are these movies. It's so weird to say that a movie like Jackass is it is a it's just a wholesome good time among like all the dick jokes, the the exposure, the this the pain that's inflicted on themselves, the feces and vomit and blood and all of these ingredients somehow, purely because of the just the general spirit of the casting crew and the dynamic of their relationship, somehow all of this, when it's filtered through the Jackass crew on the other side, all of that shit and fecal matter and vomit and blood and dick jokes, it goes through the Jackass guys and girl and comes out the other side somehow feeling wholesome. Like, it's just one of the most beautiful things, and one of the things that I'm most drawn to when it comes to the Jackass movies is not the actual stunts. It's what's happening around the stunts. It's the relationships. It's watching these guys for 2-3 decades, being like best friends, having the best and craziest of times, and the editors and the people that are responsible for kind of putting the shit show together do a really good job at embracing that side of it, the friendship and the relationships, and especially as the years go on, the nostalgia and the memories, and kind of almost just you're kind of pulling on the heartstrings a little bit, like, man, remember when? And there's just something so pure about that aspect of it that makes everything else forgivable, because it's just it's in such a good spirit. It's like we are here to make ourselves feel bad to make you feel good, which makes us feel good. It's such a selfless. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're making bank, but that's what's so beautiful about it, is that the way that they seem, it's like they be doing this money or not, because it just seems like pure joy that they just enjoy being around each other and doing these things. I was a little let down that Jackass Forever, I think more even Jackass Forever less than the 3 previous films. It didn't really capitalize on that angle as much, which was strange to me because I felt like being over 10 years since the previous one and them being so old now with so much history behind them, they would have capitalized on it more than 1, 2, and 3. But then I saw 4.5 available on Netflix, and it seems like they saved most of that material for that, and that's cool. Which it might be smart because Jackass Forever, they're bringing in the new blood. It's been over a decade since the last one. They're probably counting on the fact that a majority of the audience, or maybe not even not a majority, but a good percentage of the audience are going to be people that are new to Jackass, so might not really give that much of a shit about, their love story, I guess you could say, up until that point. So maybe that was smart to keep that out of the main film that went theatrical release and save it for the 4.5. This 0.5 of Jackass was interesting compared to the other ones. It seemed like most of the other 0.5s were extra material that just could not fit within the running time of the official movie. 4.5 seemed almost like a mashup of deleted scenes and making of documentary, which was cool. I wish there would have been just a straight 90 minutes of more of the film, but it was cool to see how they went about making this as they're getting older, and to get a little insight in their decision-making process of how they chose the new cast members and how they kind of initiated them into the Jackass family. That was really neat, and yeah, like I said, it seemed like they saved a lot of that. A lot of the sentimental stuff they saved for the 4.5, which was cool. It was cool to see that. So overall, I would say this: if you're a fan of Jackass, you're obviously going to love these movies. They don't let you down for a second as a Jackass fan. Even in their old age, the original cast members are still putting their bodies through hell. I think they're doing it wisely now, in the sense that they're choosing their battles wisely. They're letting the new blood take a lot of the heat while they play the ringleaders, which is really all I need them there for. I don't really, like I said, the stunts are just like a cherry on top of the cake for me. The cake itself is watching their relationships. So I don't care if for the rest of the Jackass franchise, it's just the original cast laughing and putting new blood through the crazy shit that they've done. I wouldn't mind. I like watching them have a good time. That's what makes it a good time. Johnny Knoxville takes he returns to the bull ring. Bull ring? Is that what we're calling it? Is that what those things are? I'm looking at nobody. There's some really good stunts in it, some throwbacks to classics, some new fucking nuts inventions. Like that's the other thing, they have to keep up in the ante every time, and in that respect, they definitely succeed in doing that with Jackass Forever. Bam Margera is not there. Bam Margera is nowhere to be found. Not even in the footage from previous films or shows that they use for like montage moments. It is almost like he has been scrubbed from existence as far as the Jackass universe goes. And I'm not mad about that. watching this one in comparison to the old ones, um, that wholesomeness that I was talking about, and that good spirit and that joyful feeling that you get from Jackass when watching Forever compared to 1, 2, and 3 in the show, with that did include Bam. Bam was kind of like a dark cloud in the Dick House rainbow. That's just my perception, and it was never really apparent until I saw the dynamic of the crew without that dark cloud hovering around it, kind of like just kind of adding an intensity to it that was unnecessary. So yeah, I mean, with Bam, I don't know. I've been vaguely following the turmoil between him and the production and him and the crew. He has his side, they have their side. Seems like substance abuse is involved. I'm sure egos play a big part in what's happening there, but all of the politics and the personal shit that's going on behind the scenes that resulted in Bam not being a part of the project, I'm not in the position to speak on. All I can say is that it was all right him not being there, as far as I was concerned. Whether it's fair or not, whatever deal was made or not made with him, in respect to like the franchise moving on without him, I have no idea. But the overall result of the movie itself, I don't think it suffered at all. I would argue to say that it's the group dynamic is improved upon in his absence. So there's that. Yeah, all in all, if you're a Jackass fan, if you're looking for a good wholesome time, if you just need to shut off for a little bit and forget about all of the craziness that's going on in the world, and especially if you grew up with Jackass, it is such a welcomed 90 minutes, or including 4.5, like over 3 hours, to take yourself back to the days of TRL and Carson Daly, and forget about a pandemic and a war and daily mass shootings and everything else. And it's okay to be a jackass sometimes. And if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.